Hey everybody, it's me, Remy the Comic Book Poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poseverse. It's Monday, so you know what that means. We're going to talk about my top 5-ish comic books from last week's New Comic Book Day, that if you dug them, you should check them out on this week's New Comic Book Day. So to see what you might have missed that made the list, you'll check it out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Couple of quick announcements. Number one, Poser Pile giveaway is going to happen tomorrow. I'll drop it in tomorrow's video just like I did last week. You know, I gave that, Poster Pile, the show must go on spiel, and then my kids got sick. And I was by myself, and I can't deal with poop, vomit, and a stream at the same time, so sorry, y'all. Number two, we're going to have the April Fool's Mystery Box. Is going to launch today after this video, so go to Instagram and you'll see the shenanigans that I've put together. That I overbought some stuff again, and I'm going to give away way too crazy good deals to get stuff out of here and get some books back to homes that will love them better than I might. And number three, there might be a Whatnot auction, but we will definitely have Shop Talk this week on Thursday night at 9:30 Central, because we're going to see Travis Gibb and maybe a whole hell of a lot more people to talk about their upcoming Kickstarter project, or not their upcoming, their now live Kickstarter project, Cthulhu Invades Wonderland, which is the second part of a kick-ass Cthulhu anthology. It was super wild the last time Travis was on Shop Talk. When I had to try and handle the Cthulhu Invades Oz crowd on my own, it was a wild time, so I can't wait to see who comes out of the woodwork for this one. So without further ado, let's talk books. Two quick honorable mentions. The first is what I think ended up only being a 3-issue series, because the last one said end. And I said I didn't think I read Until My Knuckles Bleed number 2, and it's because my shop got 2 and 3 on the same day. But it was a really, really cool series. It's all put together by Victor Santos from the Happy Tank imprint at Behemoth. It's about an ex-superhero who's struggling to kind of find the meaning of his existence. You find out that he's basically a heavy for a strip club. Has I'd say he's not in intimate love with the strippers, but he cares about them as people. And towards the end of issue number 2, something happens where it becomes a bigger question of human trafficking, where we get to see him go wild. And issue number 3 leaves the door open, where I think we could see some things, maybe not just from, the hero of this book, but some of the other people from his team that we may have seen blips of throughout these 3 issues. The second honorable mention is Hotel Volume 2, Number 4. This is a pretty sweet story about a man's dog is on his deathbed and he needs to help him get experimental treatment, and all of a sudden he ends up at the Puro courts. And you're like, this guy might be legitimately okay. Why is he here with the dog? And we don't get maybe that answer as to why the good guy ends up at the bad place, but they discover some wild shit that sets us up for the big event and the big spectacle that's going to take place across issue number 5 next month. So, another John Lee's home run. I feel dirty for what I'm about to do to my top 5. It's going to look way different than a lot of my top 5s, and you'll be able to see why in a minute. Coming in at number 5, from Marvel Comics, is Venom Lethal Protector number 1. I had a feeling that I was going to enjoy this story because it's going to kind of bring back elements of the old school Venom, where, he's all guttural and wants brains. And in this story, that is written by David Michelinie, Ivan Fiorelli, Brian Valenza, and then the letterers VC's Travis Lanham, we see Venom, fighting this D-rated list of superheroes, where he's just trying to, find food and get away, and then all of a sudden there is somebody who, the name is so stupid, but in a funny, campy way, who is unhappy with the level of press that Venom is getting, he is going to have a showdown with the Humbug. And the Humbug goes to meet with, like, the other guys that, you know, the crappy Taskmaster heroes that he was meeting with, and they laugh him out of the room. And then as, you know, Venom and Eddie Brock are kind of having their top of the tower conversation, and we see Eddie run into his ex, we start to see maybe things that are at afoot in terms of people who are chasing down the symbiote, and we get to maybe see that the Humbug is somebody who shouldn't necessarily be laughed at. So I pretty much knew I was going to enjoy this story. It was infinitely better than I thought it could be, which definitely landed at a spot in the top 5. Coming in at number 4, from Marvel Comics, is Wolverine Patch number 1. And I got a bunch of different covers for this, but the Scotty Young one is hilarious because there's the conversation about, hey, can I have your autograph, Wolverine? Sorry, I'm not Wolverine, I'm Patch. No, you're Wolverine, blah, 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 blah. Like, just a pretty good back and forth, which shows kind of the attitude of some of the book that we'll see at times. But this is written by Larry Hama, Andrea DeVito is the penciler, LeBeau Underwood's the inker, Sebastian Chang is the colorist, and VC's Clayton Cowles is the letterer. But we see, right, Patch is in Madripoor. There's a conversation about, you know, the quality of the scotch that exists, and then you see that he's kind of getting set up for a job. And as we go out and about, we see that as, you know, Wolverine / Patch is doing some exploring, that he does some things to end up potentially in Sergeant Fury's bad graces. I love I'm just going to jump out of an airplane because I can't die, which sets us up for him basically scouting out something that he saw was shiny on the ground, and as he was flying over, and he's like, I don't think that should be there. And this leads to a massive fight between some other mutants that he kind of gets his ass whooped a little bit. But you don't know if he's kind of playing chicken with them to see if they, you know, kind of beat the crap out of him and then he can kind of follow their trail, or if he's just way outgunned. But you see that he maybe discovers that there's way more than there maybe should be in the jungle. Coming in at number 3 from Aftershock Comics is Maniac of New York, The Bronx is Burning, number 4. This is by Elliot Kanan with art by Andrea Moody, and Taylor Esposito is the letterer. I've talked about being a sucker of Friday the 13th, just that sucker, senseless slasher. At the end of issue 4, we knew that Hardcore Harry was going to end up in Yankee Stadium, where he is slicing and dicing and chopping, like he's doing all the stuff that, like, the slap chop or the salad shooter or any other kind of chopping-based infomercial project. I don't know, he's doing all those motions. So we try and figure out if they get their vengeance, right, if Gina can finally take down Hardcore Harry, and I'm not going to answer that question for you, only because I think it spoils the last, 12 pages of the book. But what really got me excited was 2 things. First is, we see end of volume 2 at the end of this book. Does that mean there's going to be a volume 3? I like this book. And then the last thing that I really enjoy is Elliot Kalan's letter, where he's talking about not just how insane Andrea Moody's art is, but then when he shouts out Taylor Esposito and he says, perhaps it's because Taylor Esposito's letters can add nuance to a guy who only says her and occasionally horror. But we get, an interesting second shot at redemption. We see some false flags and conspiracy theories and all that other stuff come out around the events of Hardcore Harry at Yankee Stadium. So find out what happens. I really enjoyed this. I'm probably also going to pick this one up and trade. Coming in at number 2 from Marvel Comics. See, See the theme? I feel I need to take a shower for this. It's The Deaths of Wolverine, issue number 5. This is by Ben Percy, Federico Vincentini, and Diho Lima. This book is so good. In terms of, like, I've talked several times about how my coming back into the comic book game was all centered around the reboot of the House and Powers, or the reboot of the X-Men via the House and Powers storyline, and I just feel like that this was something that is, 2, almost 3 years in the making and in the build, and I really feel like the way that Percy and team find a way to not just make the virus that is given to Wolverine that we learn more about, I think it was in issue 4, make more sense, but to kind of give us a grander payoff of the knowledge of the things that happen in the timelines and what Moira McTaggart really is capable of and where her true allegiances and colors lie. Just the payoff for this was so good. And I know that this sets up the X-Men arc that's coming out this week, so you can watch tomorrow's video and me go, I don't know which one of these is the new one, but I'm real excited because this shit was dope. I'm real excited because this shit was dope. And then there was one. You'll actually hear me talk about our pick of the week this week, because Mixed Collectors is dropping what I put out last week. Today, I think part of it was because I sent in late. Part of it was everybody's been sick and all kinds of crap. But you saw me waving the book around. Your pick of the week from Image Comics is Killadelphia number 20. This is by Rodney Barnes, Jason Sean Alexander, and Luis NCT. This one we kind of see the shifting nature of alliances, where do we worry about the witches, the zombies, the demons, the werewolves? Like, which of the occult groups are going to find a way to play together at any given point in time? And I really feel like Barnes finally captures on kind of the nature of politics in this book, right? Where we are kind of seeing the conniving and behind the scenes in terms of the motives of each individual historical player that we've met. But now that we see shifting alliances, like, it's that is all kind of realized, where we start to get to see people's true colors. We also get to see, right, what happens to Seesaw after he has been captured. We get an update on where George Washington may have got some of his occult power, and it's the devil. But I really feel like, everybody I've heard interview Rodney Barnes, he's kind of talked about how intricately he's put together plans for this book. And I think he said he's confidently got 5 story arcs for it. And it's not just the same repetition over and over, right? We're getting layers of history. We're getting layers of nuance. We're getting shifting elements of relationships changing that continues to make this book something I'm excited to read every single month that comes out. So what do you think? I'm sure if you're watching the premiere with me, then we're chatting it up in the live chat over here. If not, and you're watching this on the rewind, let me know what you think about my picks in the comments down below. Don't forget to come by tomorrow to see A, who wins the poser pile, and B, to comment on tomorrow's video to get entered in this week's poser pile, which we will give away on Thursday night when we talk to a whole slew of people about Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. So as always, y'all, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.